That, of course, is the sound of the Fender Rhodes, and I actually recently got this piece of equipment. You might have seen the video where I went all the way up to Buffalo, New York to get it, and then I also did a video where I compared this Fender Rhodes from 1973 against a Rhodes from 1975. You might have seen that video as well. But what you might not have known is that when I got this instrument, even though it had been gone through, there were still some small things that needed to be looked at and fixed. And the reason for this is, if it's in a home and there's a small buzz, most people probably don't care or won't notice. If it's on a stage and there's a buzz and it's not coming through the amp, no one will ever hear it in the audience, so it's no big deal. But in the studio, when you're close micing the instrument and you want the sound to be as pure and as free from outside noises as possible, for me at least, a buzz is a really, really big deal, and I want there to be as little buzzes as possible with all of my recording equipment. So when I got this instrument and there were a couple of small things wrong with it, I wanted to fix them, and I thought I'd do a video about it, showing you how to fix a Fender Rhodes and some of the things that I've found that can go wrong with it. The action was regulated, and I'm very, very happy with the way it is regulated, but I found a sticky key up in the treble, and so I'm going to show you how to fix that. And then there was a loud buzz coming from the bottom, the speaker cabinet here, so I'm going to show you what exactly was causing that sound and how we think we fixed it. And then also there was a vibrato issue. The vibrato wasn't working, but we've come up with a fix. It's not a permanent fix, but we have it working perfectly at the moment, and as you heard in that little excerpt of a Bach piece I played, it's working perfectly and sounds absolutely beautiful. So let me show you the things that I did to fix this 1973 almost unplayed Fender Rhodes Suitcase model. Let's go check that out. So when I went to go play the instrument to make the video and the comparison about it, I realized that there were a few issues we were having with it, and one of the biggest problems was a very loud buzz coming from the bass end of the instrument. So we took the back panel off, and we discovered that this metal box here was the culprit for the buzz. So let me bring the camera in closer, give you a close-up of this box, and show you exactly where the buzz was coming from. So here's a bit of a close-up here of this metal box, and if you're familiar with these, you'll definitely see what we've done, and if you're not familiar with them, let me explain. Basically, what was happening was the edge of this half of the box was rubbing against this edge of the box, perhaps not exact those two spots, but basically the edges of the box were flapping together when you played bass notes, and the bass frequencies made pretty much the whole box reverberate, and it was extremely loud, and you really couldn't use it at all in a recording. And that's not a new issue, because if you look right here, there's a foam strip that Fender put on at the factory many years ago to try to help reduce this issue. There's one here which has been compressed with time, and that's probably why it started doing it recently, and then there's also a couple more back there as well. So it's been an issue from the very beginning, but what Fender probably should have done, now I don't know that this will fix it, but I think it will, and if this does fix it, what Fender probably should have done from the very beginning was put tape all along the edge of this box here. As you can see, we used this tape over here. It's like electrical tape, but it's the fabric stuff, and that's kind of important. You don't want the vinyl material. We used the fabric stuff, and it seems to work very well. It stays on there very nicely, and I honestly think it looks pretty cool too. And so we put that on there, and that definitely should prevent the box from vibrating and making a whole bunch of noise. To kind of tighten the fit there, and also, like I said, prevent it from being extremely loud and unusable in a recording. So that's what we did, and that was the fix for that. I think it should work very, very well. Another just interesting little detail in here is that this light bulb for the power indicator was replaced with an LED, which probably is a good idea because LEDs pretty much last forever. They rarely burn out, and the original one probably did burn out. That's probably why it was replaced. But what's kind of funny is it just like sticks in there. And that's all it does. So there's a potential for it to fall out, so I'll probably put that in there a little bit more securely somehow and figure out just how to make it stay in there a little bit better. So we put it all back together. As you can see here, this is the little strip of electrician's fabric tape that runs all the way along here. It's under here, but it's hidden, and it's also all along the front of it here. And it's really secure now. You know, that's not going to be causing any kind of vibrations at all. So basically what was going on here was, first of all, like I said, the bare metal was touching and that was causing the vibration, but the other part of the issue was that about half of these screws were missing for some reason, and the other half of them were partially or completely stripped out. So that was the other part of the issue here. So the two halves of the box are just kind of sitting next to each other and weren't really, you know, they were just loosely touching, and that's what was causing all the buzz. So we put in number 8 size screws. They were originally number 6 size screws in here, so we put in number 8s, and they fit in very, very nicely, and now it's very secure, and like I said, it's not going to buzz. If this random piece of duct tape is bugging you, that's just because we put it on there just to help us orient the thing when we go to put it back in, because it's not really labeled. That's what that's there for. It has nothing really to do with this other than the fact that it's because we took it out. But we think that this tape repair is really going to help this thing stay in place and not buzz anymore. So that's what happened. So what you're looking at here is actually the inside of the preamp, and I wanted to talk about this because this is something else that can go wrong with the Rhodes, and this is something that was wrong earlier. Now, we've messed around with it a bit, and we've got it to be working again, but basically, as you can see here, there are two lights, and as you can see, they are underneath of these little caps. If I took this off, you'd see that there's light bulbs underneath, but they're soldered on, so I'm not going to do that at the moment. But underneath of here are two lights, and you can see them glowing. Now, when I turn on the vibrato, you can see that they actually will flash back and forth, and if I play a note, you can hear that it's flipping back and forth between the channels every time a light goes off. Let's try another note here and not knock that over this time. Now it wants to completely fall over. There we go. I turned off the vibrato when it fell over. As you can hear, when the lights are going, each time it swaps over, it changes a channel and gives it that really cool vibrato sound. But if one of those lights goes off, basically what happens is when that light's turn is to turn on, nothing's going to happen, and so the sound is just going to die away, and the sound, when you have the intensity all the way up, will be all the way on and then all the way off, which is kind of a cool effect, but it's not the Rhodes effect, and it's not really the sound that you want when you have one of these instruments. You really want this back and forth kind of sound. You can mic it from front and back, pan them left and right. It sounds really fantastic. But so if you don't have that effect going, it's not going to be quite right. So basically these lights here are basically both working at the moment. But this is something else that can fail. This was something that was going wrong earlier. We were worried it was going to be something really big, but after doing a bit of research, we learned that all it is a light underneath of here, and if that goes bad, there are replacements you can buy, and it's as simple as taking off one of these caps, pulling out the old light bulb, putting in the new one, and you should be good to go. So that is the fix for that, and I wanted to talk about that. So one of the other problems that we found with the Rhodes was that this key here was being very sticky. When you had the pedal down, it would come up real slow like this. You'd push it down, and then it would just slowly come up. And actually, I think in the video that I played, you could actually see that happening when I played my test piece, because I hadn't gotten around to fixing it yet. But now we have fixed it, and as you can see, it comes up absolutely fine, and all the other keys around it are totally fine. So what we did to fix this was we first off used a key easer. This is a bushing easer, and there's a few different versions of these around online, but I've heard that the one that has the gold metal and the wooden handles is the best one to use. So what you're going to want to do is first take off the nameplate. There's supposed to be a big long metal strip that goes here, covers up all this stuff. You're going to want to take that off to be able to take the keys out. It's 2 screws on either end, comes out pretty easy. Then you're going to want to lift up the key, pull it out, and then as you can see, the key is out. And then you'll be able to see the bushings. You can also see some of them over here. You got the middle one, like that, and then there's also the one down here at the end. So what you're going to want to do, and you can start at either bushing, it really doesn't matter, but what you're going to want to do is take the round end of the bushing easer tool, put it in here, and just gently just kind of turn it around and just push it a little tiny bit deeper into that hole. I'm not going to do that because I've already done that and I don't want to make the bushings too sloppy, but that's what you want to do. I want to put this in here and just kind of make it a little bit wider, and then do the same thing over here. On this end, you can use the rectangle shaped end over here and just kind of gently push that in there and wiggle it back and forth ever so slightly. If you hear the sound of wood crunching, you don't want to be doing it too much more than that, but you do just want to gently spread apart the felt bushings to make them a little bit less tight around the little pole that it goes on. And then over here is the same deal. You take that rectangle end, put it in there, and just kind of wiggle it back and forth to make sure that it is all working, and just kind of want to expand it out a little bit. Then to put the key back in, what you're going to want to do is come down here, lift up the hammer, and then slide the key in underneath. Sometimes it gives you a little bit of trouble going back on the center bushing rod, but there you go, it'll fall back in place. And you might have to do it a couple of times if you're gentle with the bushings, but as you can see now, the key works fine, just like it did before. I didn't really do anything to it just now, but that is the technique that you'd want to use for using a key bushing tool to fix a sticky key. So hopefully you've enjoyed this behind-the-scenes look at kind of the inside of the Fender Rhodes and some of the things that I did to help refine it and make it the best that it can be. If I do any more further work in the future, like perhaps some further regulation work, or a buzz comes back or something like that, I might do another video addressing that. But hopefully you guys enjoyed this one. If you have a Rhodes like this and one of these issues was bugging you, perhaps you were able to fix it, or perhaps this video was able to help you. And if that was the case, make sure to go ahead and give this video a like, or if you just enjoyed it, make sure to go ahead and give the video a like. And if you want, you can go check out my channel. I've got lots of cool videos about pianos and organs and keyboards and Rhodes and all kinds of cool things like that. So if you want, you can go check all that out. And if you do that, thank you very much, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye.